Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everyone's enjoying their lunch. My name is Matt Gagnon. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Maine Heritage Policy Center. It's my distinct honor to welcome you all here today for our annual celebration of freedom and opportunity in the state of Maine. We're gathered here today to honor two individuals who embody those principles in their lives every day and have done some tremendous work building the conservative movement in Maine over the years. I'll be giving a formal introduction a little bit later on in our program, but I just want to take a moment to congratulate Rupert and Suzanne Grover and thank them very much for being with us today. So if you'll join me, please. I'd also like to thank the Maine Heritage Policy Center Board of Directors. 2 years ago, they asked me to come up here and lead this organization, and I could not have asked for a more dedicated, helpful, and supportive group of people to work with. What MHPC does simply wouldn't be possible without this tremendous group of people, and they all deserve our thanks for all they've done to advance freedom in the state of Maine. So thank you very much to them as well. And I have to be honest with you all here because we desperately need more people like them. Every few years, we're told by pundits and self-interested politicians that this is the most important election in our lifetimes, this one that we're in right now. They do that to essentially bully us into action and scare us into doing things. This year, however, that statement is actually true. Not because it's more important to elect this candidate or that candidate, but rather because this year represents an incredible turning point in our country on big philosophical questions. It's a turning point on ideas, if you will. This is the year when socialism stopped being a punchline and was sold to the next generation of Americans by a 74-year-old career politician from Vermont. This is the year that the FBI told us, right out in the open, that there exists one set of rules for the powerful and the politically connected, and one set of rules for everyone else. This is the year that terrorism violently advanced across the West as our own government paid $400 million in ransom to a nation that would like nothing more than to eradicate us from the face of the planet. Here in Maine, it's no better. This is the year that we learned that Maine's population is going to actually decline by 1,000 people, even with new immigration. And that disturbing trend of more people dying than being born will continue and grow more aggressive. This is the year that 87,000 acres of Maine land that can never be recovered was given to the federal government with the intention of creating a national park, despite the almost universal opposition to that by those who are closest to it. This is the year that they started actually coming for your guns, for real, with Michael Bloomberg poised to spend upwards of $6 million in the state of Maine to enact a so-called universal background check referendum in the state. This is a state, by the way, that has the second lowest rate of gun death in the entire country, so a solution in search of a problem if I've ever seen one. This is the year that $12 per hour as a minimum wage was put on the ballot by liberal special interest groups who said with a straight face that they want to give poor people a raise, despite the fact that it's going to lead to widespread job loss and cut hours among those very same poor people, and will condemn wait staff to abandon tips and become minimum wage workers. This is the year that those same liberal special interest groups decided that yes, in fact, Maine should be the second highest income tax in the entire country, and that the money that's supposedly raised from that gargantuan tax hike should go to schools in Maine's wealthiest towns. And their attempts to bleed the state dry don't drive out whatever wealth we have left. Everywhere we look, the left is advancing and advancing without apology, remorse, or any intention of retreating. But I have a message for everyone here today. That advance stops now. They've had their turn, and they've run this state into the ground too many times already. Their ideas are the past. Their ideas have caused the state to suffer for 4 decades, and it's time that we rejected what the left has to offer. We reject, for instance, those that look at the poor and see only political opportunity. Those that treat poor people like incapable failures, robbed of their human potential and undeserving of dignity that is work and self-determination. Those that look at 50 years of flatline poverty rates and multiple generations of people trapped in a vicious system that robs them of their humanity and self-worth and says, hey, why not 50 more? We reject those who look at our fellow citizens and see convenient labels or interest groups that can be pitted against one another and exploited. You can't be black and be a conservative. If you're a woman, the right hates you. Gay people don't belong to us. If you're a recent immigrant, you have no business talking to them, they say. We reject that because that isn't the world that we see. When I look at someone, regardless of what they look like or who they are, I see a person with tremendous potential and unique abilities that no one else has. That's what I see, no matter how much the left tries to separate us from one another and take advantage of the division by telling us that we're enemies of each other and that without them, we'd fail. We reject those who believe that the economy is a fixed pie to be equally divided amongst us all and who tell people that they have less because someone else has more. We know that our neighbor's success is our success and that prosperity is something that can happen for everyone without being directed by central planners. And most importantly, we reject those who believe that our Constitution and the rule of law are malleable concepts, able to be valued or ignored on a whim. We know that if you want to change the Constitution, you must amend it. And that if one right is disrespected and ignored, they all can be. Ladies and gentlemen, the days of conservatives sitting back, reacting to what the left does and hoping for the best are over. Now is the time to push forward on our own agenda and make them react to us for a change. Now is the time to move beyond the bitter divisions that they've created for us, and frankly, we've also created for ourselves, and move forward together. There's no denying that our state has made tremendous progress under bold leadership under Governor Paul LePage and many of the same lawmakers that are with us today. They've confronted the political cartel that has controlled Augusta for decades and shaped a reform agenda that's left us more prosperous and more free. But the left hasn't made it easy. It's been a struggle for every single inch of progress that we've made over the past 6 years. And we have to be careful. We have to make those reforms stick now, forever, or slip into failure. As we head into the next legislative session, the Maine Heritage Policy Center will be pushing hard to make sure that not only do those reforms stick, but we go further and make transformative change that cannot be undone. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, to build a new legacy for the state of Maine. We want a budget that spends less than the one that we passed last time. We want to see the size of state government's workforce go down. We want lawmakers to stop nibbling around the edges and take seriously the issue of tax reform. The income tax must be eliminated entirely. We want to give Maine people the power over their own health care and lower costs. That's why we will continue to work to pass a bill that unleashes the direct primary care industry and enact the right to shop concept here in Maine. We want Maine to finally, after long last, pass right to work legislation. Furthermore, we will not rest until the undue influence of public sector unions is curtailed, and we will actively work to break their stranglehold on state government by forcing public unions to actually justify their own existence to their own members. We want to end once and for all the corporate cronyism that has for too long plagued our state and eliminate the expedited win law. We want to establish educational savings accounts to return the power and responsibility of educating children where it belongs, into the hands of parents instead of the hands of government bureaucrats. And we want to push further on the issue of welfare reform and continue the incredible progress that we've already made. After all, if Connecticut and Massachusetts, my friends, can have TANF benefits of 2 years or less, Maine can do better. This is why the Maine Heritage Policy Center exists. This is our agenda. We're going to work tirelessly to implement it, and we're going to succeed. But we can't do it alone. The power of each and every one of us acting together can change this state. That's why at your seat, you're going to notice a small little donation card. If I can ask everyone here, each and every single one of you, to commit to sending the Maine Heritage Policy something very small, $25 per month. Even if you're already an annual donor of ours, then we would collectively, in this room, be able to raise an additional almost $100,000 for the Maine Heritage Policy Center per year. I can't tell you what that would mean to our organization. If you can do more, or you want to make an annual gift, of course, we'd be thrilled. But please fill out that card. If you just fill it out with your information, leave the card at the table or hand it to one of our staff. We will be in touch with you to set that up. Your support is what makes what we do possible. The agenda I just listed out, of course, what we're working on this year. And I can't possibly thank you enough for what you do to make MHPC exist. Thank you again for coming here today and for supporting our organization, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of our program.